Imagine waking up tomorrow morning. You look outside your window, and everything is covered in snow. At first, it doesn't seem unusual, just another cold day. But then the snow keeps coming. Weeks pass, then months, and the temperature never returns to normal. Rivers begin to freeze, crops begin to fail, cities built for warmer climates start struggling, and slowly humanity realizes something terrifying. This isn't just a long winter. The planet is changing. The last ice age transformed Earth into a completely different world. Massive sheets of ice covered huge parts of the northern hemisphere. Sea levels were much lower, and places that are now underwater were once dry land. But perhaps the strangest part was the animals. Woolly mammoths walked across frozen grasslands. Giant deer moved through ancient forests. Bison roamed across enormous open landscapes. And predators like saber-toothed cats hunted in a world humans barely recognized. But what if something similar began happening again? Would modern humans survive? Could our cities handle it? And would mammoths somehow return? The answer is more complicated than you might think. First, an ice age would not arrive overnight. Earth would not suddenly freeze tomorrow morning. A real ice age develops over thousands of years. Temperatures gradually change. Ice sheets slowly expand, and ecosystems begin moving toward warmer regions. But imagine that somehow the process began much faster. Fast enough for a single human lifetime to notice. At first, people might celebrate. A few colder winters, more snow, longer ski seasons. But then the cold would stop being fun. Growing seasons would become shorter. Some regions would struggle to produce enough food. Farmers would need to move crops or change what they grow. And countries that depend on certain agricultural regions could face serious problems, because the biggest threat would not simply be freezing temperatures, it would be food. Modern civilization depends on an enormous global food system. Farms, roads, ports, trucks, warehouses, and predictable seasons. Change the climate fast enough, and that entire system starts becoming unstable. Imagine millions of people living in regions that slowly become too cold for traditional farming. Where would they go? And who would feed them? Cities might survive the cold. Buildings can be heated. People can wear better clothing. Technology can help. But technology cannot instantly replace farmland. A skyscraper cannot grow wheat, and a smartphone cannot produce food. As the ice expanded, humans would probably begin moving. Entire populations could migrate toward warmer regions, and suddenly borders would become more important than ever. But there would be another problem. Everyone would be looking for the same thing: land, water, and food. Humanity has survived extreme climates before, but never with 8 billion people depending on one connected global system. And while our cities struggled to adapt, nature would begin changing too. Forests could move. Grasslands could expand in some regions. Animals would migrate. Some species would disappear from places they once dominated. Others could suddenly thrive. And eventually, the world might begin to resemble something ancient. A colder Earth. Wide open grasslands, long migrations, and huge animals adapted to the cold. But would woolly mammoths suddenly return? Probably not. The mammoths from the last ice age are extinct. A colder climate would not magically bring them back. The same is true for saber-toothed cats and many other ice age animals. But their world gives us an idea of what a colder planet could look like. Picture northern landscapes covered in vast open tundra. Herds of animals moving across frozen plains. Humans following the resources they need to survive. For thousands of years, people once lived in that world. They hunted, they migrated, they built shelters, and they learned to survive alongside animals far larger than themselves. The difference is that we would enter this colder world carrying something they'd never had: technology. Satellites could track weather. Scientists could monitor glaciers. Engineers could redesign cities. And modern transportation could move supplies across enormous distances. But technology would not make the ice age disappear. It would simply give us more time to adapt. And adaptation might completely change modern civilization. Cities could become more compact. Buildings could be redesigned to retain heat. Farms might move indoors. Some food could be grown in controlled environments. And transportation networks might need to follow completely new routes. The map of human civilization could slowly change. Some cities might shrink. Others could become more important. Ports could become useless if surrounded by expanding ice, while regions that are currently too hot for comfortable living might become new centers of agriculture. The strange thing is that an ice age would not only destroy opportunities, it would create new ones. Land currently buried beneath ice might change. New ecosystems could appear. Migration routes would shift, and humans would build around a planet that no longer looked familiar. But there is one thing we need to remember. The Ice Age animals from the past would not simply walk back into our world. Mammoths would remain extinct unless humans somehow recreated them using future technology. Saber-toothed cats would not suddenly appear in modern forests. Instead, modern animals would be the ones adapting. Some might migrate, some populations might evolve over very long periods, and some species could disappear. But imagine standing on a frozen plain, a modern city behind you, and an endless white landscape in front of you. Somewhere in that landscape, scientists might find the frozen remains of animals that lived during the last ice age. Mammoths, ancient bison, giant deer, creatures that once walked across a completely different Earth. And perhaps that would be the strangest part. The Ice Age would not be returning exactly as it was, because Earth has changed. Humans have changed, the animals have changed, and the planet now contains 8 billion people, cities, highways, satellites, and machines. So another Ice Age would create something completely new. Not the ancient world, and not the modern world, something in between. A planet where skyscrapers stand beside expanding glaciers, where highways cross frozen landscapes, where entire cities move south, and where humanity is forced to remember something we usually forget. We don't control the planet. We simply learned how to live on the version of it we were given. And if that version changed, we would have to change with it. Because the next Ice Age wouldn't just test whether humanity could survive. It would test how much of our civilization can survive with us.